Hello, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I have the honor of speaking with Mr. Jeff Bush. And Jeff, I think, has led and is leading an exceptional life. I got a chance to go, he gave me a tour of Hawk Ranch, which is here in Murrieta, California. It's a 40-acre property that he's developing. He has a wedding venue there that he's turned around. And he also purchased a beautiful building in Lake Elsinore, right on the lake, for doing weddings and events and corporate events. And it's incredible. We'll get to see that in a little bit here. But Jeff, I wanted to use this time with you to kind of get to know you a little bit as a person. And I think what I'd like to do is start off with a little bit of the bio that you have on your website, growmyprofit.com, which talks about when you were growing up, you were in an entrepreneurial family. And oh, by the way, welcome to the show.
Right. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, great. So you grew up in an entrepreneurial family with you and your brother, David. Any other kids in the family besides you
No,
two?
just me and my brother. I'm
Okay. And are you the
52, my
oldest or the
brother's
youngest?
50. Yeah, so 2 years apart. He's my little brother, 300 pounds in high school. I'm a buck 65. I call him my little brother, but he was the football player, the big kid that
Uh-huh.
was the bruiser, played professional football. I was the sales guy, just small. So 5'10", 175 right now. But yeah,
Okay.
my little brother. It's always funny.
Yeah. So what team did he play for?
So my brother went to Linfield High School, and then we
Okay.
both moved to Orange County, and he got a Orange Coast Junior College. Then he got a full ride to South Dakota State, played football at South Dakota State. My brother went to two NFL training camps, Buffalo Bills, trying to get on.
Huh?
And they said, dude, you're 6'1", 315. You got the right size, but you're not fast enough. So he couldn't get into the NFL. So he joined arena football. So you won't believe this. My
Oh, wow.
brother is hiking the ball to Kurt Warner. Remember
Wow.
Kurt Warner? My brother
Yeah.
kicked the ball to him for 2 years in arena football, went to the Super Bowl of arena football twice. Kurt Warner gets picked up by the Rams, wins the Super Bowl. They just did that movie about him. My
Uh-huh.
brother movie. The
Sweet.
last Bush is on the jersey from the starting center running down the field. The only sad part is they got an African-American guy to play my brother's part, which I found that's kind of odd. Like my brother's as white as you could get. And I just wonder, they didn't pull a character in that looked like him or acted like him. It's just the movies, but it was kind of, so you'll
But
see
they
Bush,
used his name Bush on there.
but they
Wow.
used his name. Yeah. Cause he
Wow.
was the starting center hogging the, so anyways, that's a cool story.
That's a cool story
So
though.
my brother and I got to go out to Kurt Warner's house in Arizona a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it was unbelievable. All the pro quarterbacks are coming in and out of his house for training, watching how Kurt Warner analyzes the field, the game. So my brother's son is a left-handed quarterback that just got a full ride scholarship to South Dakota State, the same college my brother got a scholarship at 30 years ago. So
Okay.
he was giving my brother's son tips of how to be a good quarterback. And we're sitting there for 3 days with Kurt Warner studying film and tape. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is
Yeah,
way
pinch
smarter
me.
than I ever imagined. So great Kurt Warner story. Nice, really great guy. My brother and him have stayed friends for 25 years. So anyways,
Uh,
sideline, sorry.
well, no, that's
I
awesome.
drift. You
It's
said you
super.
like stories. So Kurt Warner, the American Underdog movie that came out is pretty cool story. Kurt,
American Underdog. Oh, we got to
yeah.
check that out. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's
So
really cool. So what was it about you and your brother? You were like in an entrepreneurial family. You were like you started off this incredible career. You're like a multi-exit entrepreneur, which to me is like the pinnacle. It for me, it's like if you get an exit, that's like getting a Super Bowl ring. That's
yes,
kind
I
of what I
agree.
look at it like.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you've got how many Super Bowl rings? How many exits?
Well, I've only had one exit. The other four businesses that I've had over 30 years made a lot of money,
Uh-huh.
but one of them ended up in bankruptcy, the mortgage business when the housing market went bad back in '07.
Yeah.
Exactly what's happening right now,
Uh-huh.
2023 looks like '07, '08. So I had one that I had to close. It was a crash landing. I was making $3 million a year when I was 35 years old with this huge business, just crushing it. And then a year later, I'm filing a $5 million bankruptcy, second largest bankruptcy in Riverside County. It was freaking horrible. So I had one big income, big failure. The other three businesses, I had one with a big 8-figure exit, which was cool. Built it up to 20 million in sales, making $4 million a year, had a big exit. And then Hawk Ranch is where I'm at sitting right now. And that business is still going. And then another business that, yeah, we did sell a large ad agency in Orange County. I owned a very small percentage of that one, but I built it from 5 employees, 500,000 in sales to 40 million and 160 employees. And I got a small check when my friend sold that company, small equity piece. So I did have a little exit in my 20s, late 20s.
That's
so
cool.
anyways, those are kind of the 4 that I look
Put a
at.
notch on your belt with that.
Yeah. Yeah. But
good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway. So you mentioned Hawk Ranch. I want to bring that up. I've got that up on a, I'm going to share that screen. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a picture of our pond and the wedding venue, kind of the homepage of the website. Yep.
Yeah. So it's really, you were gracious enough to invite me out. I got a chance to spend some time with you touring the property, and oh man, it's absolutely beautiful. This entryway is so pretty. You just drive in and it's like, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of being back in down in the South, the old South with the big magnolia trees.
Yeah, with the tree canopy cover. And yeah, those trees are beautiful to look at. I'm sorry. All I can think about is my tree trimmer's coming tomorrow and it's $12,000. It's a bad memory for the owner, but it's great. It's pretty to look at. The brides like it. Anyways, it's fun.
Yeah, I get that.
You know.
Yeah, I used to have a horse property. I had a small call it a gentleman's ranch, and it was a quarter acre, and we squeezed a 4-stall barn with a tack room on it.
That's nice.
It was fun, but nothing like what you've got. So, yeah, I wanted to share that picture because it kind of gives you an idea of that. It's like right down in Murrieta, which you'd never know it was there.
Right.
Unless you drove back to it. It's kind of isolated, even though it's right down in the middle of the valley. So
yeah, 5 minutes off the 15 freeway. It's crazy, right? That you'd think you have to be way out there to have 40 acres, but this was kind of a jewel, little hidden gem.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, and then you got, while we're at it, let me bring up your the property that you have in Lake Elsinore. Now this, the Lakeside Mansion, what are you using this property for?
Well, when I sold the company a couple of years ago, I just wanted to make sure I invested in some real estate with some rental income. So I bought this house in Elsinore. It's a crazy house. It's 9,000 square feet on one.
That's huge. Acres. You've got a 3D tour on here that's just like take you an hour to go through it.
Yeah, it's a monster. I mean, just to do a tour, it takes about an hour to go through the house, and it's got a private launch ramp. And I grew up in Canyon Lake, California in the late 70s. So we used to water ski every day, but they don't allow jet skis in Canyon Lake. And I ride 2 stand-up jet skis, kind of old school.
Yeah, those are fun. I got to do that out on the river one time. So
yeah, I have an aeronautique wakeboard boat, and you're not allowed to surf behind the boat in Canyon Lake. They just have all these rules to protect all the docks and the boat. Right. And I get it. Canyon Lake's nicer than Elsinore. It is. The water.
This is smaller though too. I mean, it's tiny.
Yeah. But here I've got this private launch ramp where I can launch my jet skis or my boat. And so I get to go over there and surf and jet ski. So it's kind of like I bought this rental house because it brings in a lot of income, but it's also our second home. So whenever it's not rented, we sneak over there, stay for a couple nights, launch. Oh, there's the boat. I got a picture of my aeronautique boat on the right side behind my dually. I'm getting ready to back down the launch ramp. Beautiful property. And it brings in a lot of rental income. So it's a good investment. I spent a lot of money on it. People told me I was crazy when I bought it. But
that's a good sign. It's always a good sign. It's like you're doing something right.
All the people that couldn't afford to buy it are telling me, why I shouldn't buy it, and they have no clue. So whatever. I don't take advice from people anymore that are that can't do it, right? Because they're quick, they're the first ones quick to give advice, right? I'll
Yep.
listen to my billionaire friends, but I ain't listen to the guy making $42,000 a year who's going to tell me how to do it, who's never done it. I learned that a long time ago, right? You be nice and you smile, but they're the first ones to want to give you advice, tell you how to do it, and they've never done it.
Right.
That's
Yep.
funny. So
Yep.
anyways, yeah, the Elsinore house is cool. And we do some weddings over there, and it sleeps 50 people. There's 36 beds in that house. I can
Oh,
put 50 people sleeping in the house. It's
I was gonna
crazy.
show, yeah, this down
And
here
it's,
further. You can bring the whole crew in. You've got
yeah.
the bunk beds here. Let me pull this up again.
In fact, today I've got a party of 40 checking in, 40 guys for like a men's retreat. They're from South Orange County. They're all driving across the Ortega Highway from like South Orange County to Elsinore, and they're
Okay.
checking in today for 3 days, like a men's retreat. They're going to have a blast, just
Cool.
whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's the way to do it. So tons of fun. So that's kind of the fruit of what you've been able, your career, and it's now you're on to some things like you just started with your brother, which I think is really cool. Like, how cool is that to have, you guys grow up in this family together, and you kind of split apart. Your brother went into the football, and you went
Yep.
into business, and then now you're both, after 35 plus years, you're coming back around together. You both had really successful careers, and now you're coming back and teaming up to help other entrepreneurs to kind of do what you did. Because like, and you're talking about taking advice from people who have been there, done that, or not.
Right. Right.
And from what I see, you guys have been there, done that. And just that the 40-acre property that you've got that we just saw, and then this beautiful home on the lake in Lake Elsinore that you're actually using and creating income with.
Right. Right.
That affords you a life of pretty much being able to do whatever you want now.
That was the goal, right? Just have some income where you're not having to trade time for income.
Yeah.
You usually get one or the other, right? You get time or you get money. It's hard to
Right.
get both, right? If you can
Hard
find
to
a way
get
to
both.
get your own time and not work and make a lot of money, that's like the double whammy, I think.
Sure. Yeah. So that's like, it's like the kind of the holy grail. It's like, that's what I want. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs want that too, but they're at a point where maybe they've done $1 million or $3 million. They got their business going on, and they're netting out maybe, 100, 200, maybe $300,000 a year. They're still struggling. They're still trying to get themselves off the ground. And you and your brother David are like putting together a really, looks like, let me show the website you guys have put together. Um,
Now that first 1 to 3 million in sales is probably the hardest part, right?
yeah.
It's like, how quickly can I get the hell away from this? I need to have a $5 or $10 million business so I can have managers to run it, and I don't have to solve every problem, do all the work, put out all the fires. I was talking to a business owner the other day who had 5 employees. She made 400 grand last year on $1 million in sales. And I'm like, why don't you take your business to 10 million? She goes, Jeff, the problems I have right now with 5 employees, if I had 20 employees, I'd have 4 times as many problems. I don't want anything to do with that. And
Uh-huh.
I just had to laugh. I'm like, that assumes that you have to solve all the problems in the business. Are you stupid? Like, as soon as you get a business going, you hire good managers that can solve 90% of the problems. If you're thinking my business quadrupling in size is all going to depend on me, shame on you. What a dumb decision. If you can't delegate and you don't learn to turn it over because you're such a control freak, you got to do everything. You're going to stay in that small business, and it's a horrible place to be because you're doing everything. You're working super hard, and you're barely, I mean, you're making money. You're making 100 to 300 grand a year. Nothing wrong with that. And saying, tell all your friends, I own my own business and I control my destiny. But if you're working 60 hours a week and your wife's ready to leave you because you can't focus on wife, kids, what a mess. So I feel for the people doing 500,000 to $2 million a year in sales, making just enough to not have to go get a job, but not having an exit, not knowing that, hey, in 5 years I'm going to sell this bitch for 10 million and I'm going to get out, right? Like that's a hard place to live. I didn't want to live there for very long.
So what helped you to get make that mind shift. Because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs as well. I never want to sell my business. I love my business. And it's like, to me, I'm like you. It's like, that's crazy. The first thing I want to do when I set up a business plan is, okay, how am I going to get out of this thing? What's the exit strategy? And how long is it going to take me to get there? And I think that's a really important thing, to be able to set yourself free for that. And then also, it's like what you have done is create the infrastructure around the business as it grows, so you're not completely tied to it. And that's a secret. There's got to be a secret to that.
I mean, I loved my business, but do I love my business more than wakeboarding with my 4 adult boy children? Do I love it more than spending time with my brand new grandson, to
Right.
where business is pulling me away from other things I love?
Yep.
I think when you build a business big enough and you have the true freedom to decide how much time you want to put into this business. I mean, that's great. You love your business. Do you love your wife? Because the wife probably ain't too happy if you're spending 80 hours a week down at the business. You ignore things. And how many guys do we know that end up divorced because of work, business, just sucking all their energy? I remember when my business was just starting, coming home and just being like, don't talk to me. I'm freaking exhausted. Like I had no time for her, not a lot of time for the kids. So that's okay for a small amount of time. But if it lasts forever, it's going to wear on relationships and issues. So, I mean, not to say I've done it perfect. I got all kinds of mistakes, and my wife and I, fight once in a while, and my kids aren't perfect, but it's like, I just want to have the freedom. So back to your question, I made the decision. I want to have the choice. The only way I can have the choice is if I build the business big enough where I could hire a CEO to come run it, and I can work 3 days a week or 1 day a week, and at the same time build the business up big enough where I could sell it for a big enough amount of money where I can go pay cash for some houses and have some rental income. And then I can decide if I want to go back to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just about freedom. So, it's building something big enough to where you have options.
Right.
The doctor making 500 grand a year as a surgeon, he has no options. He's got to keep doing surgeries every freaking week, unless he goes out and buys 5 surgery centers and has 10 doctors under him. And now he's got a real business, and he's duplicating and he's making money off others, which is kind of the key to business, right? Somehow duplication, making money off other people in a good way. I mean,
Sure.
I got 10 surgeons making 250,000 a year, and I'm making 2 million, and I don't have to work. Good for me. That's a great way to set up. So anyways, that's why I did it and why I had that vision. And how I got all that is just watching other people do it.
Mm-hmm.
I pay a lot of attention. If 90% of the Hyundais in this country are financed with 10% down, and 90% of the Rolls Royces are paid in cash at a $500,000 car, what the hell's that about? Like, isn't that odd? Like, if all the Rolls Royces are paid cash and they're 500 grand, why would Hyundais all be financed when they're $40,000, right? Like, there's just some secret here. I need to get around the people that have Rolls Royces, not Hyundais, because they know something. Hyundai sells a lot more cars than Rolls Royce, but I don't want to know what those people necessarily know. And nothing wrong with Hyundai. I've owned them. Great cars, right? But I don't know, just learning from others. Like I watch very closely. I read a lot. I listen a lot. I get around people. I would go out of my way to get around people that were 10 times more successful than me, just so I could learn. And I'm still doing that. I'm a multimillionaire, but people tell me all the time, Jeff, you're kind of slow. You need to hang out with the billionaires and learn how to be a billionaire. It's just so funny how there's always another level, and it's fun. Just
Yeah.
do all we can do. No matter how good you're doing, there's always somebody
Always
making 10
somebody
times
been
more.
there before
Yeah.
you and done a
Yeah.
better
So
job.
that's
Yeah.
fun. There's like, it never ends, right? Just do the best you can do. I've built a great life, but I could do more. And I'm excited to just have new goals and things like that to keep going.
Cool. So, you and your brother are on this venture now,
Yep.
and you're looking to help companies to kind of do what you've done. And looks like you've come up with this process that you have. There's 6 steps,
Yeah.
and that's really cool. Can you kind of just quickly highlight what those 6 steps are? Is that
Yeah.
something you
I
could
mean,
do?
pull up growmyprofit.com. because I don't even have them memorized yet. This is a 60-day-old company. I know the first one is assess. There we go. And I know sales and marketing's in there, but I want to go in order. So um, my brother and I talked about how I built 4 very successful businesses that did tens of millions in revenue, made me millions of dollars in net income, and then the one big exit for whatever, the 8-figure exit that I had. What did I do? And they're all similar. So the first thing is, make sure the business can scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't get the products and you can't, make it and offer it at a competitive price. So there's a lot of things that go into, hey, assessing the business. If it's not scalable, we're probably not going to want to get involved, or maybe we have to tweak the product and the market to be able to scale up, right? So assessing the capacity to scale is a big one. The right click, right arrow. Step 2, a business plan. I'm blown away how many business owners are like, hey, my goal is to make $1 million a year in my business. And right now I'm making 100,000. I'm like, well, show me your plan to get there. No plan, nothing even written down. Like if you have 2 sales reps and you're doing $1 million a year, I'm pretty good at math. That's 500,000 per sales rep. If you want 10 million, you need 20 sales reps. What's your plan to hire 20 sales reps? What are we doing to move this forward? So looking at the business plan, refining it, increasing your margins, profitability, so you can afford a sales team, so you can afford marketing. There's a lot that goes into that business plan. So we help people write it and do a scorecard with certain goals, reasonable goals, a really big one. We're typically looking at 3 to 5 years out. Like, what's the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal, right?
Right.
I hate acronyms, but that one's pretty
Yep.
good. What's the
Yeah, I
big
like that
goal
one.
5 years from now? Oh, well, we're doing 10 million or a million now. We want to be at $10 million in 5 years. So we plug that revenue number in and we just work backwards. What's it going to take to get there? To me, it's like logical. Like, I've done it so many times, it just comes second nature to me to figure out how many people will you need in your business to get you to that goal.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't have an org chart that shows you what a $10 million business looks like, shame on you. You're really not taking it that serious. Or maybe it's more of a wish, not a goal. It's not serious. But when you get focused and serious and you build that plan, so the business plan, and then I think step 3 is like marketing. You do marketing because marketing makes it easier to sell. Step 4 is sales. Sales is so important. You have to increase your sales team or your channels. So marketing and then sales and then leadership. Step 5, I believe, is leadership. You got to find good managers and make sure that they're going to keep growing the business, because you don't get to do this on your own. A real business has employees and has managers. And then the last one is automation and operations. I mean, just making sure that you're efficient and everything that's involved in that. I find way too many business owners stick in this step 6. They're all about operations. They love to build stuff. They're calculating, they're doing math, but they don't focus on sales and marketing. So their business never takes off because they're like a closet accountant, engineer, just want to overthink everything. You got to get rid of some of the stinking thinking that keeps you as a small business. You got to do stuff that might not be what you love or what you're really good at, or hire people that can do it for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm really good at sales and marketing. I can do that all day long, but accounting and legal, oh, hell no. My accountant, I drive him crazy because I'm like, explain to me the balance sheet and the P&L and why this is there and prepaid deposit. He's told me 10 times, I still don't get it. But, my CPA makes a couple $100,000 a year and I make a couple million, and I'm okay with that. Like, you do your job and just teach me. And, I'm not as smart as you. I make 10 times as much money. And my attorney's the same way. Great guy, $1,200 an hour, Jones Day. But, he probably, I make more money per hour than he does as a business owner. So it's just funny how all that works, right?
Yeah, it is. It's I think the vision and that mindset, it's like the difference.
Yeah. Is that really what it is? It's really about mindset, huh? Sometimes I don't even know, but I just look at what seems so natural to me. It's like I have to pull teeth to get other business owners to get out of their old thinking. Your old thinking got
Yeah,
you to where
you
you are
mentioned it, stinking
today.
thinking.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a Zig Ziglar, I think, term. It's like, I love Zig.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
stinking thinking. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And and it holds so many people back.
Get out of your own way, or fear. A lot of times it's just fear, fear
Yeah.
of failure. We all don't want to fail, and so we won't take the risks, even if they're small risks. We just pull back and just we're comfortable.
Right. Yeah. Getting out that comfort zone. I think from what I've seen too, I mean, the secret sauce you pointed out, I think, is the sales and marketing elements. And I've met a lot of business owners that, yeah, they're right there. They're right at that kind of cusp of expanding, but they don't want to give up their control. And they're kind of in this dither of not wanting to expand because they'll lose that feeling they have of being in control, but they're really not in control.
No, no, they're not, right? There's so many things that can happen in business, right? That'll change everything, or
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but and then these old axioms: delegate or stagnate. And to me, being I'm a sales and marketing guy too, so I get that. But it's like there's so much power for a business owner to have that vision to say, okay, well, let's take this widget, whatever we're building here, and figure out where this can add value, and then find those people. And that's what the sales and marketing do. They go out and find the people, and then you create the value by making this widget or this software that solves a problem and gives them ideally a competitive advantage, right? And that way you charge more, they get more value, and the whole market grows. And that's a really kind of a rare combination of things, but it happens. And it looks like, I think from what I've seen, you have that ability to make that happen pretty much at will because of what you know.
Right. What I know and what you can't change my mind about.
Yeah.
I've just seen it too much, right? It's like it's a knowing, but it's also like, don't even talk to me unless you built it 10 times bigger than me. I'll tell you, I built that mortgage company from 2000 to 2007 in Temecula. It was
Uh-huh.
called Direct Funding. I started with just me. And 5 years later, I had 70 employees. I was making $3 million a year, and I was spending $3 million a year on advertising. And I was pretty proud of myself. And my CPA did a lot of tax
So
returns for other
you should back up. Your personal income was 3 million.
W-2, $3 million on 12
Okay.
million in revenue. The $12 million company was making $3 million a year after I paid everybody. And I'm W-2 in myself for $3 million a year. Yeah. And what was I? 2005 and 6 were the two big years. It was like 2.4 and
Okay.
then 3.2 million. Those 2 years were big. But I was sitting with my CPA. He goes, "Hey, Jeff, this guy, Daniel, he started his mortgage company the same day you did." I'm like,
Mhm.
cool. And how's he doing? He's all, last year he made $10 million and he spends 10 million a year on advertising. And I remember thinking, son of a gun, I wish, somebody did it 10 times faster than I did. I was like, but good for him, like I'm doing the best I can do. He goes, but man, that guy sold all of his assets and lived in his car for a month to build his business. He took huge risks. He almost lost it all multiple times. And I'm like, dude, I don't think I could take that kind of stress. I got a certain level of stress I can handle. And I'm
Yeah.
a risk taker, but not like he was.
Well,
And
you've had you've got a really great family, kids. They're still, hanging around you. You've been married for how long?
this year will be New Year's Eve, be 29 years.
29 years. Congratulations.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
yeah, and boy, I tell you what, that's getting rarer and rarer and rarer, especially in the world that you're in. I mean, it's just so high stress.
Yeah.
So being able to do that and be able to teach that now to other people, I think is it's amazing. I mean, what an opportunity for business owners now to engage with you and David and be part of the story that you're building in your life.
Yeah. It's funny that, my wife and I met in high school. I got her pregnant. We had a kid in high school. So I'm 52. I got a 34-year-old son. And then we split up for 5 years and go, man, we're not ready to get married. Like if we get married now, we're going to kill each other. We're way too young. It's 18 and 19.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we split up for 5 years, got back together, got married, had three more kids, kind of a rare story.
yeah.
But then, my wife met me when I was pretty poor, just blue collar kid. I mean, 18 years old. I'm in high school. I'm not supposed to be rich yet, I don't think.
Yeah. Your
So,
dad
but
was he was a he fixed cars, right?
yeah,
Custom
body
cars.
body and paint shop. He was
Okay.
painting a lot of custom cars, restorations. He loved old cars and spent a lot of money
Cool.
and did a phenomenal job. I was his painter from age 13 till 18. For 5 years. I painted cars in my dad's body shop.
Mhm. What was your
But
first business? What was the first one you did that you remember?
well, the first one I remember is at 12 years old, you could drive a golf cart around Canyon Lake. That was the legal age to drive a golf cart. So I had all my detail supplies in the back of the golf cart, and I drive around Canyon Lake and charge $60 to detail a car. So I would drive to their house, detail the car, make $60. That was probably age 13 or 14. I don't remember how long I did it. It's probably too much work and too damn hot in Canyon Lake. I probably gave up because it was too much work. But I remember it being, getting a check from a customer for $60, and it cost me $10 in supplies. I made a huge profit and way more than making minimum wage, which was what, $5 an hour back then, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
whatever it was in the mid 80s. So honestly, that was the first business. But to be honest with you, I really didn't get into owning my own business till I was 29 years old. So I have a lot of friends in their 20s, friends with my kids, let's say, and they're always looking at me like, hey, we want to do what you did. And we're really anxious. And they're 21, 25, 25, and they're just trying to do it too fast and taking all these risks and train wrecking, bankruptcy or overcharging credit cards. And they just can't figure out why they can't do it at 20 years old. I'm like, just so you know, I didn't start my first business, a real business, till I was 29. I
Mm.
learned from 18 to 29 how to do it, how to build a sales team, how to do marketing, how to do accounting, how to fight off the legal battles,
So you
how
were
to do
working for other
bar.
people. That's the
Yeah,
best place to learn because you're
I
getting
worked.
paid to learn, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I made good income. I made 100, 200, 300 grand W2 income running
Yeah.
sales. I knew I wanted to do sales because that was important and a lot of money. But anyways, I didn't really start my business till 29, and then 29 years old, and then 34 years old, 5 years later, I'm a millionaire. I'm making $2 million a year, and then the next year 3 million, and it finally hit in my mid 30s. But I had some little businesses that I probably tried to start in my 20s, but I had all four of my kids by the time I was 29. So I'm talking stay home wife, $3,188 house payment. My first home was 550 grand up in La Cresta. I think I bought it when I was like 26 and put 100 grand down, mortgage 500,000 or 450. So I got stay home wife, four kids, and a big ass mortgage. I was like, how the heck am I ever going to start a business? So
Yeah,
I had
hustle.
to wait till I had some things under control and some debt paid off. I had to go make a lot of money, W2 income, and get things dialed in so I could quit my job and try to live for 6 months without an income. That's hard to do.
Hmm.
And that was scary and risky. And I took that risk against everybody's advice. Don't do it, Jeff. You're making 300 grand a year. You're way more than the average. Don't quit your job. Don't, and I walked in one day and quit a great job that I love because I wanted to make $1 million a year. And it took me 4 years, but I did it. 4 years later, I'm making $1 million a year. Happy I quit. Happy I didn't take all the losers' advice that were telling me not to do it, who had never done anything in their life, including pastors, family members, right? They just don't know. I had bigger dreams, bigger goals. So if you have that, you're going to have to do bigger things, right? You can't do
Hmm.
the same thing as everyone else and have 10 times the income and whatever.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
go.
it's absolutely right. It's so inspiring. Um, wow, our time's almost up. I've got one more question. You got a minute?
Yep.
One more question. So I ask this of everybody on the show, and it's basically taking a look at your whole life. What was the boldest leadership decision that you've made, and what were the consequences?
The boldest leadership decision and the consequences, meaning good consequences, right?
Good or
Or
bad? Yeah,
bad.
what'd you learn?
Well, at my mortgage company in Temecula, I was making 100 grand a month, which was good income. But I went out and opened up a $20 million line of credit and decided to become a bank. And I hired a president who helped me get that $20 million warehouse line. Well, I went from making 100,000 a month to 200,000 a month instantly. It was huge. But becoming a banker in the mortgage industry puts you at a whole nother level of risk. If I wouldn't have become a banker, I wouldn't have lost it all and had to file a $5 million bankruptcy in '08.
Yeah,
So
this
I
was
would say
like
bold
2006,
leadership decision.
2007.
What's that?
Was this in like 2005, six?
Yeah. I think we got the warehouse line in 2005, and I was funding all these loans. It was going great.
That
I'm
was
making all
crazy.
this
That
money.
I remember
Yeah.
that. It was crazy. And it's
But
like 2008, it just woof.
yeah, I funded a whole bunch of loans on my warehouse line, and Countrywide and IndyMax said they would buy them. And then the next day, they're both out of business. Uh-oh, we don't have a buyer for these loans.
That
So I got
happened so
stuck with a
fast
bunch of
too.
loans. So I
Yeah.
guess what I learned is risk reward, risk reward. There's a huge reward there, and greed made me want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the risk was probably too much because I lost it all. And I was all in. I took every dime I had and put it all into that business. I had no reserves. So looking back, I shouldn't have done that, that's bold leadership, a lot of money, but too much risk, or just being out there a little too far. Like I wish I would have just, put a little more in the bank and not lived so large, but the first million is the hardest one to keep. And I'm 35 years old and I wanted all the stuff. So I went out and got the stuff, even if I had to finance it. And that was a mistake. I could have been set up pretty well at 35 and not have to rebuild after a bankruptcy and be 52 to kind of, have this life. It was painful, So long answer, but that's
great. That's good, good story. Excellent story. Thank you for sharing that. It's really good. So yeah, that's about our time. So thank you very much for joining me on the show. And
awesome. Good talking again, Jim.
Yeah, you too.
We'll get together soon again.
Absolutely. Sounds
Thanks,
good.
man. We'll see you.